Greetings and salutations, viewers. I am Charles from Inspire the Muse with my smarter half.
I am Sharon.
We recently attended BookExpo 2018. Yes, we survived another year.
Somehow.
I don't know how.
Sheer stubbornness, really.
As usual. We decided to come to you today with a book haul. Now, if you watched last year's book haul, it took a little while. Because we had a lot of books. Justin was not pleased.
80-something books last year? Yeah.
And an extra that we didn't realize we had.
I still don't know where we got that one from, but it appeared in a bag.
We will never know.
Someone
slipped it in
exactly.
To us. I will give you a spoiler. This year's list is going to be shorter, but we have reasoning behind that.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to start with day one for us, which was actually day two for BookExpo, because day one didn't really do much for anything in regards to us.
No.
It was mostly just meetings and panels and stuff that it wasn't worth it to us to get there in time for it. So day two for us, day one for us, day two for them.
Yep.
The first book that I grabbed was The Con Artist by Fred Van Lente, I believe, over at the Quirk Press table, who is one of my preferred publishers because they're always entertaining. They have some pretty wacky stuff and they like to do very creative things. And it was the first drop of the day when the hordes of humanity went into the convention.
Literal hordes.
Oh, yes. And it caught my interest and I'm looking forward to checking it out. After that, within quick succession, I decided to wander the floor to see kind of what else there was, and surprisingly enough, Disney Publishing dropped A Night Light, which was cute and adorable. Sleepy, the Good Night Buddy, which coincides with a book of theirs, which I was unable to grab because of timing and logistics, and I simply didn't know when it dropped, because too many other things going on.
That happened a lot this year. I didn't know when things were dropping.
But it is very cute, and I don't know when I will personally use it, but we know a few people who might be interested in utilizing it.
Yeah.
Or know people who could use it.
Exactly.
Basically. The first autographed book that I grabbed in one of the autographing lines was Catching Frogs, The Story of a Modern Princess by Gabrielle Mayfield, which I didn't realize it was a modern retelling of such, despite being in the subtitle.
Mm-hmm.
You know me at this point with my recordings of what I catch and what I don't. But she was a delightful individual. I'm still going to check it out. And very nice cover art. It is eye-catching. So kudos to the illustrator.
I honestly have absolutely no idea what that's about. So, we shall see.
Next up, I started wandering the show floor and looking for stuff between the time I had of the autograph signing and some interviews that I was doing. So I found The Polka Dot Parade, a book about Bill Cunningham by Deborah Blumenthal with illustrations by Masha Dians. And we'll show that to you, and I'm going to block my face because I have to. And the illustrations on this are really different from what I've seen for other book illustrations in the past. So it caught my eye, and I know it's a short read, but I look forward to it anyway because it's different, and I like different because I am different. One that I was really looking forward to because it looks adorable is Pluto is Peeved. An X-Planet Searches for Answers by Jacqueline Jules, or Jacqueline, illustrated by Dave Roman. And here you go.
That one looks really cute. I'm excited for that one.
And Viva la Pluto! I will never accept that Pluto is not a planet.
Pluto is a planet. Sorry, NASA.
And later on, after some interviews, I grabbed Were Girl Typhoon by C.D. Bell, because it was from Choose Co., which is the modern interpretation of the Choose Your Own Adventure books back in my childhood days. I will not give you years because I don't want to. But the cover art for you. I unfortunately did not realize that this was the third book in a trilogy, and I do not have the first two books. So I'm going to have to track those down, because another delightful individual, she was so happy and excited to be there, and I love the cover art on this, and I'm excited to track down the other two books, because I want to read this, but I want to read the first two books first.
But she also had heard of you.
Yeah, this was a surprise. Like, she looked at my badge, Inspire the Muse, and like, I know that. Where have I heard that before? And I gave her a card, and, like, I know that name. I've heard of it before, and it was positive things. Don't worry, all good things. But we have had no interactions with her before, or with ChooseCo before, beyond mentioning on a podcast episode way back in the day. Maybe that was it. Who knows? But that was very cool. And near the end of the day, because I had several interviews that took up time between this and then, I wanted to track down a book that I saw called Writing Children's Books by Anthony D. Fredericks. Everything you need to know from story creation to getting published. And if you know anything about our company, you know we were all over something like this, because this is right up our alley. And he was a very fascinating individual, and I sincerely hope I get to interview him, because he was a lot of fun to talk to, and he knows his stuff. So the insights we could get from him potentially would be invaluable. But as I was talking to him, he had another book on the table for signing called Ace Your Teacher Interview. Revised and expanded 2nd edition even. 149 fantastic answers to tough interview questions. So if you are in the education field and you're interviewing for education positions, this is apparently a very valuable resource in how you phrase your answers, or what sort of questions to expect, and what the interview process is for teachers specifically, and how to go about it so you can find a position.
We actually, in grad school, we had a whole class that was kind of about maneuvering the academic system, as it were, kind of like what to expect out of like your first year of teaching, your mentorships, and just kind of like stuff like that. We did mock interviews, and I think this book would be a good one to actually teach in that class, because we did a lot of like mock interviews and talking about the interview process and pension plans and all the like stuff you like, the boring stuff, but the stuff that you really need to know. And actually, I think that would be great for a class like that. And just because the interview is really the important part, and sometimes questions can catch you off guard. So a book like that would definitely be something in a teacher program to look into, because you can't just you can just let people go off into the world on their own, but it's better to prepare them and know what to expect.
And for those of you interested in such a book, he does have other books on such things, similar, just not with the interview process specifically, but just academia. So go check out Blue River Press, where this is from, and you can find his other stuff. All good things. And surprisingly, that's all I grabbed on day one for us.
Yeah, you had a pretty... minus like a tote bag.
Oh yeah, there was a tote bag or two, because there's always
tote
a
bags.
tote bag or two.
You can't get out of BookExpo without at least getting one tote bag.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I purposely searched down tote bags to carry my stuff in, so... But came home with a lot less tote bags this year, too, because you can only use so many.
As much as we love the tote bags, we'll give you a little insider secret. We haven't used a majority of them.
No.
Like, we have them hanging up, and at this point they need to be washed because of where we hung them up, unfortunately. But they don't get utilized as much as we hoped.
Yeah. My Harlequin bag that zips, I use a lot. And I use that... Actually, I think I got that at BookCon like 3 years ago, and I used that when I was actually in grad school because it zipped, and tote bags that zip are
I used
fabulous.
one for my gym bag, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
So
we use a couple, but how many bags can you use on a day-to-day basis? I know some people use them for groceries as reusable bags.
We'd have plenty for that.
Yep.
We just need to wash them first.
Exactly.
So Sharon, what did you get on day one?
Well, I got a couple more books than CJ did.
Just like last year.
Just like last year. Nowhere near as many as I did last year. One, because, honestly, I feel, personally, and I've heard other people say this, there weren't as many drops being done. this year, it didn't seem like, and a lot of them were at the same time. And I am one person, and I have not yet managed to be able to clone myself, so I cannot be in two places at once. So it was kind of playing the game of what do I want the most. The other part of it is last year I permanently screwed up my shoulder because of the amount of bags that I had been carrying. So this year, one, because of myself saying, like, you don't need that many books, and two, just physically not being able to carry that many books. Because it is, shoulder damage is not fun. But I did get some, so I was very selective about what I got, but I'm very excited about what I got as well, because I was selective. So, the first thing I grabbed was Sisters of the Winter Wood by Rena Rossner. This was a drop at Hachette, in the mad rush, first thing in the morning, and I'll tell you a secret, I made a bad life decision. I was trying to cut through the Hachette booth. I was not even purposely going in there, I was just using it as a cut through. And it was a crush, and the only way to go through was just to get pushed through, and you were not getting out. So this was in there, and I was actually, they did a signing at 3, but they dropped it first thing in the morning, so that freed up my 3 o'clock, because I grabbed this first thing. So I'm excited, and it's very shiny. The second thing I grabbed, I was really excited about, because I am a sucker for anything Beauty and the Beast. So 10 o'clock drop at Bloomsbury was A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I'm sorry, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. But it's like a modern day Beauty and the Beast retelling. But like looking at it, it seems like it goes from like modern day to like a different land type of thing. I'm not exactly sure, and it doesn't really quite tell me, because there's a kingdom on the back, so I'm assuming they go into a different alternate world at some point in this book. I'll let you know. But I'm super excited for this one. Look, it's so blue and pretty. So, and it's also rather large. That was a popular drop. Apparently, I got in line pretty early because I've learned. But by 10:04 they were gone, and the signing was the drop was at 10. So, and I know people weren't able to get it, but they did drop it like 4 times at the convention, and there was a signing. So, if you wanted this book, you probably ended up with it. So, I'm very excited. The next book I got was also a 10 o'clock signing that I was able to scoot over from Bloomsbury. I did a lot of walking. Which is Too Wild to Wed by Eloisa James. This actually comes out actually, it already had come out. May 29th, so before BookExpo, but this is still an ARC. And she signed it for me. She was a lovely person. It's a romance book, if you can't tell by the half-naked man on the cover. But I really like Eloisa James. She's a Shakespeare professor by day. And so this is just a cool read. I actually haven't read the first book in this series yet, so I own it. But this I'm excited about, and she's a lovely human. The next thing I grabbed is not a full book. It's a sampler of King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. Anybody who knows me knows I love Leigh Bardugo. If you watched last year, you knew I stood in that 2-hour Wonder Woman line. They didn't give out full arcs. There are no full arcs for this book happening at all. But I got it signed. She is a lovely human. Also super shiny. So this is a 50-page sampler. It has the 3 Nikolai's perspective, Zoya, and Nina. I'll just give you a little hint. Leigh Bardugo told me herself that Nina's getting a girlfriend in this series. So that's exciting. It's going to be a duology. They were also giving away, I didn't snag one, but they were giving away little cardboard crowns to go with King of Scars. So that was really cool.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah, it was cool. And a button. I got a button. So lots of swag if you went to see Leigh Bardugo, and these were just handed out everywhere. Again, if you wanted one, they were easy to find. The signing was ticketed, but Fierce Reads dropped this at BookExpo at their booth. So that's kind of cool. I'll be honest, I don't really like samplers, but I love Nikolai, and I've wanted him to get his own book since the Grisha trilogy, so this is super exciting. But I'm going to wait for the full book to come out before I get... Because I'm going to get invested in this, and then the 50 pages is going to be up, and I'm going to be very frustrated. So I'll wait. The next book I got was Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. It's a standalone, but it kind of fits in with an earlier book. Like, it's in the same world as an earlier book, but different characters. So it's tangentially related, I guess, of Uprooted. Penguin did a panel. Naomi Novik was on it, and apparently she dropped these afterwards. So if you went to the panel, you can go back to Penguin. She would have signed them. I made a very good friend at the Penguin booth, and I asked when they were dropping it, and they were dropping it, but like we had left by then. So she handed me a copy. So, woman at Penguin, I love you. And I'm super excited to read this. And yeah, so Penguin people, shout out. You're awesome. And your booth was much better this year. The next thing I got, I don't know if this is my most exciting grab, but it's definitely...
Even I'm intrigued by it.
Top 3, I think. Is Ogre Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine. I'm probably dating myself, but Ella Enchanted came out when I was the age I was targeted. I was the target age group for Ella Enchanted. I read it so many times it fell apart because I would finish reading it and I would read it again to the point where I basically had it memorized. I saw Gail Carson Levine was going to be there and I was almost crying because I was so excited to meet her because she's like my childhood favorite author. So it's always really cool when you get to meet like an author you love from your childhood. So my inner child was like squeeing and I can't wait to read this and buy it in hardcover and love it to death. And she signed it and I got to meet her and just, that was so exciting for me. It's just my childhood. And I know I'm no longer the target audience for this, but I'm going to love it anyways. I still read Ella Enchanted like once a year. Even the movie's fun, but it doesn't follow the book at all. Yeah.
I'm personally kind of hoping for our sakes they do a reprint of Ella Enchanted in the same size as when this one comes out publicly, so you can get a matching set.
Yeah, if you get the hardcover of Ella Enchanted, I don't know if you can anymore. It's probably out of print, but they might.
Maybe they'll do a reprint for this. I
have a feeling because it's been like, I'm going to date myself, but like 15 or so years since Ella Enchanted came out, they'll probably do a hardback run to coincide with this to get the interest up. But yeah, comes out in October, people. Go get it. I love this woman. I read her like 2 Princesses of Bamar books. I love Gail Carson Levine so much. Next book I got, I was the first person in line. Never happens to me. I was number 1. Ticket number 1, people. They kind of screwed this up on the BookExpo website because they sent you to the wrong booth and the wrong time. So luckily I found the little corner of Harlequin and HarperCollins and asked, and they told me the correct time, and they gave me the little sheet that showed all their signings. They were very nice about it, and they were kind of frustrated because they knew it was kind of screwed up on the site, but everybody found it anyways. The Witch of Willow Hall by Hester Fox. This looks a little dark. But the author was amazing, and I was her first signing ever, which is really cool.
Nice.
And she shook my hand because she was all excited, and she was so nervous. But this book looks really good, and it's right up my alley because it's like a Regency type historical fiction novel. So I'm really excited about this one. And this is a really nice arc, by the way. If you can't tell, it has the decal edging. So the pages don't match, and it has the little flaps. Like,
that's surprising.
This is a very well-made arc. I'm impressed. They kind of went all out with this. This was Graydon House, but it's an imprint of Harlequin. And she even had a little stamp, I don't know if you can see it, that she was stamping all the books with.
Nice.
And she was wearing a lovely fox dress, so she was adorable. The longest line I waited in line this time was for a book that I didn't think was going to be as popular as it was. But apparently because they dropped the cover art like 2 days before BookExpo, yeah. And so Bloomsbury was like, get there, like, the drop was at 2:30, like, get there at 2:15, that should be fine. And I'm like, there ain't no way that getting there at 2:15 is going to get you a book, because they only had 150. So because I was the first one in this line at 1:30, I headed over to Bloomsbury, which was like 2 over. There's already like 3 people in line. So, I just stood in line for an hour and a half, and that's fine. Well, sat on the floor. So I got The Priory of the Orange Tree. I'm so excited. But what you can't tell from this angle is that this book is a beast. Look, it is 800...
It is a TSA hazard.
888 pages of a beast of a book. When this is hardcover, this is going to be a serious weapon. But look at the cover with the dragon. I love dragons. And the back even is gorgeous. And I'm so excited to read this, but it's going to take me forever.
How was the line management for that one, considering it was an unexpected hit?
It wasn't a problem. We formed the line. Everybody respected the line. And then when the line kind of got too far down to the intersection, Bloomsbury, one of the people that worked there, just moved it across and had a, little stick sign that said where the line was. So line management really wasn't a problem with that. Good. I mean, there was a lot of people in it, but the only problem was that there was probably, I think it was Macmillan that was next to them, had a signing going at the same time. So you had this line and this line parallel.
That gets tight.
And that got a little, but we were kind of squished and security had no problem.
Okay.
Everybody can get through. So there's really no line management needed. Everybody respected the line. That was the line.
That's good.
Which you find at BookExpo, but not at BookCon. The only problem I had in that line was, we'll talk about this later, but people like to get friends in line and then join their friends. And we'll talk about exactly the people that do this for our wrap up, but, or our review of the convention. But no, it was a really good line.
That's good.
Bloomsbury, I think Bloomsbury, because a lot of people had asked, had then realized that this was going to be...
They need to be on top of it.
Yeah, exactly. But there was no problems. It wasn't a repeat of the Wonder Woman line.
That's good.
They recognized the line, and it was great. It went very smoothly.
Good.
I will give them that. So A+ Bloomsbury for your line management, and for whoever had to haul these suckers in the boxes. I'm sorry. Like, literally, people were getting flagged in TSA trying to put these on the plane because they're so big. But yeah, so I'm super excited about this. Thunk. Then the next one I hit up was a drop at Little Brown. So Hachette, Grace and Fury. This is a book that I was interested in, and it was pretty easy to snag. They had a drop Thursday and Friday. And it's a short little read, so I'll check this out.
Comparatively.
Well, yeah, comparatively. The next book I got, let me tell you, they did, and we'll talk about this more, they did a lot of unannounced drops. So what you had to do was go up and ask. So Scholastic, somebody had told me, and they make line friends, but they had told me that, you need to ask. So I went up and I asked about City of Ghosts, and the woman goes, oh, yep. And she just handed me one. So she goes, oh yeah, I can help you out. So apparently if you wanted City of Ghosts, it was readily available. All you had to do was ask. And I'm kind of surprised because V. Schwab is huge. And they were just handing these out. They probably didn't drop it because it would have been a mob.
If it was word of mouth only on site, that might have helped thin out the herds. Okay, so that worked a lot better. Like, you had to talk to somebody to know that this was dropped. You went over there and asked and they handed you one. Instead of doing a line drop, because Scholastic is kind of a smaller booth, so it's hard to do line management. Also, I think they had a lot of these, but it's better than like a password drop and getting a mob. So I think it's easier word of mouth, and people will figure it out because they'll see people with this, ask where they got it, you'll go and get it, but it stops having the herd going at once. So I'm excited for this. It's middle grade, but we'll see. It looks cute. And then the last book I got was from Simon Schuster. It's called The Lost Queen by Signe Pike. It's historical fiction for fans of like Mists of Avalon. It's about Merlin's sister. So I'm very excited about this one. They said that this was going to be a galley. You had to ask what time they were dropping it, which was just an overarching theme of all galley drops. But I snagged it, and yeah, so that's exciting. So that was day one for me, which was actually as many, like, those 10 books, pretty light, but I'm very excited. Day two, even lighter. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
to help put it into context as to why I'm comparatively lighter even from last year, I had a lot of scheduled interviews, which was great.
Yeah.
I was more prepared this year than I was in all of the years previous, and that definitely worked in my favor for how things worked this year compared to previous years. We'll go into detail in our review about all of that. But day 2 for us, day 3 for them.
So Friday.
Yes. The first thing I did after trying to get a drop that apparently didn't exist at opening, as everyone literally sprinted past me to get galley drops and stuff.
Yeah, I don't run.
I'm too old for that. I don't need anything that
Okay,
desperately.
no, I don't run except for once, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about it. But
I can appreciate if you want something that badly.
don't push me.
There was something I wanted that badly, but thankfully it was a half an hour after opening. I went to the autograph signing lines, which were fabulous.
Mhm.
We'll talk about those in detail later as well. And waited in line as number 2 in line
Yay!
for Alice Isn't Dead by Joseph Fink. This is the 3rd book from the Welcome to Night Vale crew that they've published and brought arcs to at BookExpo, and this is the 3rd arc from them that I have received and gotten signed. And I have recently listened to Alice Isn't Dead because it's been a while, and this is effectively the novelization of Season 1 and I think most of Season 2, if not all of Season 2. So I'm really excited for this one to see how they bring it to life in text. So this was the one I wanted that day, and I got it.
Yay! We did well on Friday.
Yes. Later on, after several interviews, we had a slew of them, and it was fabulous. Near one of the booths that I interviewed, I kept seeing a book and the cover art, and it kept catching my eye and kept being interested, and I talked to the people there, and they said, oh, they're actually doing a signing later in the afternoon. And I thought, great. So around, 2 o'clock, after all the interviews were done, and we were effectively clear for the day, I managed to grab Exile by Glyn Stewart. And I'm really excited for this sci-fi because I love sci-fi. I always enjoy it, and apparently he has a lot of other great stuff that I'm excited to look into more, and this is going to be within the top 5 of my to-be-read pile. Fast forward a good while into the day, because of what we did and how we did it, I went to wait in my final line to grab an autographed book, but the current autographing line hadn't finished yet, and someone walked out and showed off the book and explained how excited they were for a steampunk and monsters book, and I thought, there's one person in front of me. There's one person in back of me. And the line has 10 more minutes. I'm going to get in that line and check it out. And I'm glad I did, because this looks like it's a fun read. I grabbed Monstrous Devices by Damien Love. And it sounds like right up my alley, again, because steampunk, I'm always up for a good steampunk story. And I really do like the cover art with the little robot up in the top, if you can see. I will block my face so you can focus.
They never really drop a lot of steampunk, so it's very exciting when they do.
That was a nice surprise.
Looks like a unicorn.
Like 10, 15 minutes later, the line I was waiting for managed to go, and I grabbed Damn Fine Story by Chuck Wendig. And Chuck Wendig is a very entertaining man, and he has no filter if you looked at any of his stuff. So I'm excited for this one to see his perspective on how to write a damn fine story. And surprisingly, 4 books later, that's all I grabbed for the day.
I grabbed a couple more than you, but not many. Friday, I was exhausted, so tired, and in so much pain. And actually, a lot of things I had on my schedule for Friday were repeats, and I had managed to grab them on Thursday, so it kind of freed up my schedule a little bit.
Yay!
The first thing I grabbed in the mad rush in the morning was Rule by Ellen Goodlett. This was a galley drop at 9 o'clock at Hachette when the doors first opened, and I managed. We got there early, so we were towards the front of the crush. So I was able to get into the Hachette booth and out of the Hachette booth before it became like an absolute mob scene. So I was able to grab this one. So cover's really pretty, and I'm excited. I really don't know. It says 3 Dark Crowns meets Pretty Little Liars with a dash of King Lear. So, fantasy, I'm all for it.
Cool.
So we'll see. The next thing I got was a 9:30 signing. I was expecting there to be more of a line, but because of the 9:30 timing, by the time I got in line, because this was the only I didn't walk the floor after grabbing this. I just went straight to the signing line because I knew that signing line was going to be popular.
Yep.
So I was pretty early in line. And I was able to get The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kirsten White. I know this is a highly anticipated novel. They're releasing it for the 200th anniversary of Frankenstein. If you buy the ebook edition of this, you actually get the full, or if you buy the ebook edition of this, you'll get the full print text of Frankenstein in ebook form as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, I'm kind of excited that I was able to get this because I was expecting like everybody to head over there right at 9 o'clock, but they didn't. They were walking the floor, so I was able to get in line pretty early. Hold on. Very loud lawnmower going next door. We have landscapers that live across from us, and they constantly mow their lawn. I'm pretty sure they do it just.
I thought they finished.
Pretty sure they do it just to tell us to mow our lawn. The next book I got was, actually I had a pretty big break between these two. Was Deborah Harkness, Time's Convert. This is in the same world as her series of Discovery of Witches, but with different characters, so it's kind of a spin-off series. This is the first one. Stood in line for a little while for this because I had time, and I made a really nice line friend. But, so I'm kind of excited. It's vampires and witches, but in an adult fantasy world. And she was a lovely human being, so this is very exciting. That line was pretty popular. And then Simon & Schuster had a little bit of a line issue, because I think one of the books was more popular than they expected, and they didn't cap the line, to the point where the woman had an interview at C-SPAN and was running late, because the line was so crazy, and then they had a signing like right after. So
that gets chaotic.
Security was a little cranky at the line because it was getting a little out of control because there was 2, so we were very close together. But I was super excited for this book. It's Kate Morton's The Clockmaker's Daughter. She is one of my favorite authors. She writes adult fiction. It's historical fiction. It tends to be like some of it's in the present and some of it's in the past to solve like a mystery, but it's not like a mystery. It's just, they're really good. And the endings are always a surprise. I read her first 3 books when they came out, and then on our honeymoon, I read another one, so CJ didn't see me for a while because it just keeps you glued to the page. So I was super excited to get an arc of this and get to meet her because she's Australian. She lives in Australia, so getting to meet her is something that's kind of rare in the US. So she was so nice. She shook everybody's hand, and just, I was so excited. And this might actually be the first book I read. And the woman that works at Simon & Schuster said that this is her favorite out of all the Kate Morton books so far. Nice. Normally she does like World War I, World War II era books. One of her books is in the Victorian era. The rest are World War I and World War II. And I am more of a, once we hit World War II, it's not my thing, even though those books are excellent. The World War I I'm more into. This is 18th century romantic fiction era. So you're talking romantic poets, Byron, Shelley, Keats era, and that's like my area, and so that is super exciting. So this,
I'm just not going to see it for a day or two.
No, this is like right up my alley. I'm so excited. And then, now I know I said I don't run. I made an exception because we all knew the Laini Taylor line was going to be absolutely insane, and I had saved my front of the line pass for that line because there's only 150 arcs being signed, and that line was going to be chaos. And it was, but it was managed chaos. But the novel, which is a Little Brown imprint, or it's not an imprint. It's just what they call their YA, like, umbrella. I don't know why. You got the underlined, you got novel, you got fierce read, you got epic reads, kind of like in that vein. Was doing a password drop for both Muse of Nightmares and Wicked King. Now, long story short, I managed to snag an arc of The Wicked King by Holly Black. I got elbowed in the stomach and physically pushed. That line was a mob scene because they dropped the password. Everybody ran to grab it. Literally elbowed in the stomach, and not in just like a, thing happened because there's a bunch of people. No, it was a legitimate thrown elbow to the stomach to get me out of the way. But I managed to snag it anyways. But you're not going to see it because I gave it to somebody who wanted it more. Because she ended up in the back of the line, like she was in the back of the line and they didn't have enough and they ran out before she got there. And that was like the one book she wanted. And so I gave it away. Because I can wait until, and I didn't like the Cruel Prince all that much. So I made somebody's day and I really hope that they enjoy it. Cause I got elbowed in the stomach for it. So please enjoy it. But then they were going to do a Laini Taylor drop. And that was the one book I wanted all BookCon. Like that was my, if I get nothing else, I want Muse of Nightmares. While I'm sitting in line for Brandon Sanderson, which is autograph table 2, which is all the way over there in the Javits, and Hachette is all the way over there. And as I'm sitting in line, I'm like, this is when they're going to drop the damn password. Well, so the guy in front of me and I are talking, and I had the notification for the novel on my cell phone, and we're talking like, now we had tickets for Brandon Sanderson, so no matter where you were in line, if you had the ticket, you were going to get it was a sampler, but you're going to get a book. So he was like, I don't care about the sampler that much, but I want that book, so if they drop the password, I'm going to, run for it. And I'm like, I don't run, but yeah, I feel the same way. Well, sure enough, sitting there, and all of a sudden I feel my phone buzz. And I look at him, he looks at me, and we literally book it across the Javits Center. Now, we weren't racing each other, so it wasn't competitive. It was just, we both were looking at each other, we saw the password come up, and we booked it. Meanwhile, I am carrying a tote bag full of books. I am exhausted. Everything hurts, so I cannot tell you how the hell I made it across the Javits Center. And I'm sure if you saw me, I looked like a crazy lady. But everybody else was running too, so it's fine. And I didn't take anybody out. I did not elbow anybody. They had better line management for this because I think they were expecting it at that point. And I did it. I grabbed Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. And I am so super excited for this book. Laini Taylor is one of my favorite authors. It's kind of how we met.
Yep.
So like this means a lot to me. And I ran for this book, and I never run. Like, I'm in decent shape. I use the elliptical every day. I don't know how I made it to Hachette, but I did. Sheer determination, and that was like my last ounce of strength for the rest of the day. But I did it. I got Muse of Nightmares. Was so excited, and like,
Thankfully, they honored the password part.
They
of
do.
The drop.
Because
kudos to that.
There was a guy in front of me in the Wicked King line. Now, to be fair, I think the guy just got in the line because there was a line. And the woman asked, like, what's the password? And he goes, there's a password. And she goes, if you don't have the password, I don't have a book for you. And he had to get out of line. So if you didn't have the password, it wasn't happening. And they actually deleted the password pretty quickly after sending it out. So it was you had to catch it thing. And we'll talk about line cutters in this one, too, of, like, just because your friend got in line doesn't mean you can join your friend in line, especially for a limited number of arcs. It's not fair. But then I did manage to toddle my way back over to the Brandon Sanderson line. That wasn't that far back. And I got his sampler of Skyward. Look at the cover art for this is absolutely gorgeous. It's by Charlie Bowater. You may know her if you follow Sarah J. Maas. She does a lot of her fan art and actually some of her covers. But she's incredible. And let me just, it's a very short sampler. I think it's 30 pages. But Brandon Sanderson is a very nice and down-to-earth human being. He took pictures with everybody who wanted one, and the woman in front of me was getting a book for her husband, and he, did a video, like, she took a video, and he said hi to him.
It's a nice touch.
Yeah, so he was just very, very nice. So if you ever get a chance to meet him, like, really do so. And apparently he was walking the floor and people went up to him and he'd take pictures and like super nice guy. I literally almost walked into Laini Taylor. And I just like everywhere I turned, like Laini Taylor was on the floor. And she was always like right there. And I'm just the type of person that I didn't want to be a bother and go up and say hi, even though people said like she's perfectly lovely and it's fine if you do that. But I just felt really awkward, and now I'm kind of regretting that I didn't do that. Next year, if I run into Lainey Taylor, I will meet her and try not to actually physically run into her with her lovely pink hair. But I also saw V. Schwab walking the floor. Like, I saw a bunch of authors. They walk around, and if they're not in a hurry, they will talk to you.
Yeah.
If they're not trying to go somewhere. So, just be nice. And then the last one I grabbed was kind of an accident. Or not an accident, but I was going for something else, but they ran out. Which was no big deal, because it was just one of those, if I grab it, whatever. Happens. And if not, I think they didn't expect it to go as fast as it did. At least the woman didn't seem kind of surprised. But I got The Devil's Thief by Lisa Maxwell. This is that's the title. This is the sequel to The Last Magician that came out last year. It's actually a pretty big book. I haven't read The Magician's Nightmare, whatever it is. The first one is. I haven't read it yet, but it is on my shelf. And so I was kind of excited to get this. But I just happened to be walking by and saw that they were handing them out, and I snagged it at Sharon & Schuster. It was like, so, yeah, I grabbed it because it is something I'm interested in, and it takes place in 1900s New York City, so again, historical fantasy is always my thing. But, yeah, I didn't really need to put a book this big in my bag at the end of the day, but I did. So, that's everything I grabbed, which was very light compared to last year, but at the same time, I'm likely to actually get through them this time, and they're all things I'm really interested in. So the only thing is, like, I'll be honest, I don't like samplers. I don't read them because, like, you just start getting into them, and then it's, where's the rest? So
and you have to wait 6 to 10 months
to get the rest of it, and I am not that patient. So I just don't mix it. I just don't. So, but it's signed by Brandon Sanderson and Lee Bardugo, so that part's really cool that I have the signature. But yeah, so
I appreciate the concept of the samplers and giving a bit of a teaser for people to entice them to look more into it. And
they're giving them a lot. They're giving a lot of samplers out at BookCon, which I feel like makes sense. Instead of giving full arcs, you do samplers, and it gets the interest going. I think they're really. I don't know if I really think they're necessary for established authors, but like Lee Bardugo, I know she didn't want to do arcs because she didn't want the spoilers getting out there because there's some big things happening in this book. So I respect that.
Fair enough.
But I feel like it's a really good way for debut authors to kind of get like the hype going, is to hand out the samplers and getting people, like, giving only the 30 pages so like you get hooked into it and then you go out and buy it because you want to know what happens. So I feel like in a marketing standpoint, that's like a really good way to drum up some interest and hype without giving out the full arcs. Because, arcs are pretty expensive and they end up on eBay sometimes, unfortunately, as they already have. People don't buy arcs on eBay. Don't do it. It's illegal to sell them. It's great. Like, you shouldn't buy them and you're getting ripped off. Like, do not pay $90 for an arc. If you want to support the author, wait for the book to come out and buy the book. That ensures that the author will be able to write more books because they'll be making money for the publisher. If too many people buy arcs, the publisher isn't making anything, the author isn't making anything, and then if they don't buy the book because they have bought the arc, then that looks bad on the author. So as much as, like, you're excited about it, if you want the author to continue writing books, you need to buy the book or take it out from the library when it comes out.
Support them using the proper methods. Exactly.
Don't give money to people who go to places like BookExpo and just get arcs to sell them and make money off of them. All you're doing is supporting theft, basically. Don't do it. And also, don't pay $90 for an arc. You're getting ripped off. You can buy the book in 6 months for, like, way less than that.
Most of the authors that sign these arcs and already published books, they do book tours. They go to local bookstores. They do other tours. You can find them elsewhere to get a signed autograph and get it in person.
And you can get it personalized.
So you can personally meet them and get it personalized for you specifically. Yeah. I feel like that is the better way to go. Exactly. If you want something autographed by that author specifically.
But, if you're a decent human being, which most are, Just the best thing to do is not buy the ARC, and if you can, alert the publisher about the eBay listing that you find the ARCs for, and they will take care of it. So don't buy ARCs. Wait for it to come out. I understand you're super excited. If you want, try to join NetGalley or Edelweiss, and you can get an e-ARC, but just go about it the right way. And to be fair, like, these aren't finalized, so there's going to be changes in the final book. That is a more complete version, and half of them are made to fall apart because you're not going to spend a lot of money on a free thing. So buy the nice, like, I'll be honest, like, if I read these and I like them, I'm going to go out and buy the physical copy and support the authors with my money.
We do that more often than not.
Yeah. Yeah, if you saw my office. Like Priory, I'm super excited about, and I already know that I'm going to pre-order it because interesting. If you want Priory of the Orange Tree, which you should, Samantha Shannon is awesome, and the cover is just beautiful. But if you love the beautiful cover, if you pre-order the book, they're actually doing a pre-order incentive where you get a poster of the cover, which is gorgeous. They had huge display at Bloomsbury that I took a picture of. If you follow me at the Literary Penguin on Instagram, I'll be posting a photo of the Bloomsbury booth. They had both a huge thing for Sarah J. Maas and a huge thing for the Priory cover. But the pre-order incentive is you get a print of the cover signed by Samantha Shannon herself. And it's not just
That's really cool.
It is a personal, she is actually signing these. Like, they're not just
It's not just a stamp.
Yeah, it's not just like a printout of her signature on the poster. She is legitimately signing the posters, and you will get one. So if you are interested, pre-orders are great for authors, by the way. So if you're interested in any of these, by all means, pre-order. Check out if there are incentives, because a lot of times there are, but it's great for author numbers and being published. But, if you're interested in Priory especially, that is a really cool pre-order incentive. And I will warn you that the book is going to weigh 500 pounds, because my ARC weighs 500 pounds, and carrying that around in my bag I was walking kind of sideways across New York.
Yes.
But
and
anyways,
just to help give those of you who are not necessarily that familiar with why we're so strong about our opinions on ARCs, ARCs are advanced reader copies. ARCs are, I'm just going to carefully hold this up for you. ARCs are effectively this style book where they've actually done the full printing and they've done cover art, and sometimes they have the promotional breakdown on the back of what they're doing to help promote it.
Either on the back or sometimes in the inside cover.
A galley tends to be more stack of papers of the text, printed, sometimes bound, but not always. Sometimes they literally staple the paper together like an essay that you would give to school.
Professor. Those are rare.
Yeah.
Those are pretty rare, but Justin got one last year.
Yeah. But on most of the ARCs,
not for sale.
Like, we can, hopefully this will show through, they specifically state not for sale.
Not for sale.
Because they are an advanced reader copy. They are meant to be given as gifts, effectively, to those within the industry to help promote and raise the visibility of these books ahead of time to entice pre-orders and sales.
And if you want to support the author, like, they need the sales, or else they're not going to write anything anymore, and then that really sucks for them and for us as readers. And
I will be the first to acknowledge that, yes, there are bookstores that have ARCs in their stores that, if it's a secondhand bookstore, they sometimes sell ARCs. That is a thing that happens. There are some normal indie bookstores that have ARCs. I have yet to see one actually sell the ARCs themselves, but I have seen them offer the ARCs free, like one free ARC with purchase of a normal book within the store.
And that's fine.
That is perfectly fine because they are not gaining any monetary value for that book or that ARC.
Yeah, by all means, if you get an ARC and you love it, like, not if you buy an ARC, but if you get one from a publisher and you love it, give it to somebody. Give it away and be like, I really like this book. You can certainly give an ARC away.
Yes.
You see people doing it on Twitter and Instagram all the time, giving away ARCs. And
we've done so in the past as well, when we've had the ability and resources to.
So that is kind of the way to... That's kind of actually preferred. The publisher likes that because it's just gaining hype and publicity for the book. And, like, I know most book people, like, you get the ARC and you're going to go buy the book anyways. If you can. If you monetarily can't, that is also fine, but check it out from your local library. If you're like us and your local library is super small, interlibrary loan is an amazing thing that they can do. If you don't know how to use it, they will be more than happy to show you. But there's just support. And if you love a book, leave a review. Even if you don't like a book, leave a review. Reviews help, positive or negative.
And yes, if you do not care for a book,
don't attack the author.
Don't just say, this sucked, bleh. That is not constructive criticism. No. Remember your high school English teachers, constructive criticism.
Be nice.
By all means, say why this didn't work for you, why you didn't engage with it, why you didn't care for certain characters, or why it didn't just work for you.
Yeah.
By all means, tell that. A lot of the authors I've interviewed and talked to appreciate that kind of commentary.
Even though, if you're an author, like, don't read reviews. It's just going to make you angry. The reviews are not for you; they're for other readers. And
sometimes the publishers.
And the publishers, yeah. But authors, I feel like most of them try not to read them because you make the mistake once and then, like, a book is not going to be for everybody.
The ones I've talked to appreciate the constructive criticism ones because it's constructive. It is helpful.
So they can do better next time or see what they might need to focus on. And if you are the type of person that, like, can deal with constructive criticism and not going to go ranting on Twitter about how people are attacking you, which some authors behave badly, then by all means use the constructive criticism to help your book. But if you love a book, the best thing you can do besides purchasing it and telling other people about it is to leave a review. Even if you check it out from the library, leave a review and it'll help, especially on Amazon. Amazon runs by reviews.
For better or worse, that is one of the better places to do so.
Even if, honestly, for Amazon, even if it's one sentence. By all means, Goodreads, like, go off on...
I feel like that is the solid second option for visibility.
Exactly. But review, even if you leave one, like if you leave an Amazon review, and then you copy and paste the same review to Goodreads.
That is perfectly acceptable.
I'm going to try my best to get through some of these, because we all know my team.
Within a timely manner.
And leave reviews for them. If I don't like a book, I'm actually less likely to leave a review, only because... Unless, like, I really don't like the book, and then all bets are off. But I never attack the author or anything, but sometimes, like, don't waste your money.
For the viewers out there who are subscribed to our channel or who will subscribe to our channel, you will see in a future upcoming interview while at BookExpo one of my most hated and despised books. Because I said it on recording, therefore it exists. But I was constructive. So tune in for that. Spoilers! Tune in for that in the future and how we handled that.
There's always ways to constructively criticize books. I am so tired, guys.
But we did want to get this out to you in a relatively timely manner.
And then take a nap.
Yes.
But I think that's all I have to say about book arcs and the lovely reading material that I have. I'm so excited. Let me tell you, I'm so excited about Priory because it has a dragon on it. And I do like big books, and it's summertime.
You cannot lie.
Let me just tell you, though, on the subject of, like, galley grabs, there were some banging tote bags this year. Like,
I was envious of some of the bags that I did not acquire.
I missed the penguin bag drop, unfortunately.
Those were hard to get.
I will say, the penguin booth was a lot less crazy than last year, so props, penguin, good job. You fixed it. But there was a bag that said, eat, sleep, read, and it had a penguin on it. And, like, I will sell my soul for that bag. Like, I will give you Muse of Nightmares if you have that bag. No, I'm just kidding. No, I won't. But, that was one of those, like...
She will happily give some of my arcs to you for that bag.
I will bargain. But I did get some... I purposely didn't grab a lot of tote bags. I do wish I grabbed that one. But I missed that grab. And I think they gave it out both days. But I also don't run and want to get squashed. So if you're going to squash me for a tote bag, it's not worth it. But... I think my favorite is downstairs. It was Harlequin was giving out Strong Women Read bags.
I saw that around.
Yeah, there was only 50, but they were pretty awesome. And I met the person who designed it. She was really nice. But,
very cool.
That bag was awesome, but I got 2 really cool tote bags that zipper, and they're like really heavy duty. So tote bag game was strong this year, and people had like 5 million. The Princess in Black one that was given away at the author breakfast. That was the cutest bag I've ever seen. And I probably could have gotten one, but I didn't use my ticket for her because it was at the same time as somebody else. But yeah, tote bags. They were... Whoever designs the tote bags is really...
They're on point this year.
They really are.
Shout out to them.
Really awesome tote bags. And there's some cool swag. I tried not to grab too. I think the only thing I grabbed was the Grishaverse button with Lee Bardugo, and only because they were kind of handed to you.
Fair enough.
Because we don't have space and we have dogs and they eat things.
They eat books too,
yeah.
So we have to be careful.
But, like a lot of people go to BookExpo, networking, galleys, whatever, but the swag game was really on point this year. So, giveaways. They're awesome.
To learn more about the full breakdown of what we experienced and the good, the not necessarily as good, and what we hope to see in the future, as we are still planning on attending next year.
If it's in New York.
Yes. If they shift it to Chicago again, unfortunately resources will not allow us to attend.
It is what it is. We'll see.
We'll see. But subscribe to the channel and tune in to see our full convention review and the various interviews and shenanigans that we got up to while at BookExpo 2018, including the interview that broke our cameraman. So definitely go check that out, because that one was a blast. We're not sorry, Calvin. And until next time, viewers, as always, go be creative. Go read a book.
Bye.